This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so we have got virtual machine discussion in last session, and we know how to create a virtual machine. So I have created one machine, and that machine is in shutdown state now. Okay, so there is a difference here: stopped and deallocated, which we will see after we power on the machine. So at this stage, there is no IP address assigned to this virtual machine, even though it is in VNet, because we have enabled force shutdown from this portal. That's the reason it is showing as stopped, and in the brackets it is showing as a deallocated. It means IP address has been deallocated. So you will get the interview question like this. So I've got a virtual machine, like I've got hundreds of virtual machine, out of which one virtual machine is showing as stopped and deallocated, and one machine is showing only as stopped. Okay, అప్పుడు ఏంటంటే, because when we shut down the virtual machine from the portal using this stop button, then IP address also will get released. It means దానికి అసైన్ అవ్వకుండా రిలీజ్ అయిపోతుంది అనమాట, ఫ్రీ IP address అయిపోతుంది. ఎందుకంటే మనం దాన్ని రిజర్వ్ చేయలేదు. మిషన్ ఉన్నప్పుడు అలొకేట్ అవుతుంది, లేకపోతే బయట వచ్చేస్తుంది అనమాట, జస్ట్ లైక్ అవర్ మొబైల్. సో if you keep your SIM card on your mobile and if you switch off, no one will be able to contact. It will be still there on your mobile, and it is considered as deallocated from the phone still, because your phone is switched off. SIM is working, but phone is switched off. Similarly, here when you have a virtual machine in shutdown state, especially when you stop it from here, it will be like stopped and deallocated until unless you reserve the IP address. We will discuss about reservations as well. That is also needed. Now, if I switch off the virtual machine by logging into the virtual machine, any question?
ఒకసారి రిపీట్ చేయాలి ప్లీజ్ సార్.
ఇంకా ఉంది, మనం చెప్తున్నా, అదే కవర్ చేస్తున్నా ఇంకా. So now I've logged into my laptop. I can use this one, which is like start button and shut down. It means I am shutting down by logging into the virtual machine, which gives me normal state. And ఇక్కడ what I'm telling is there are two things: stopped, deallocated, and you'll find stop in sometimes. So this means when you shut down a VM, or when I will say when you stop virtual machine through the, or let's say this term, using the portal without having any IP reservation, then the status will be like this: stopped and deallocated. Okay, now when you shut down, so there is a difference. Stop and shut down is, there is a difference. Okay, when you shut down the machine, virtual machine, after logging into that, after, okay, what I would say, when you shut down a virtual machine after a login to that virtual machine, అప్పుడు ఏమవుతుందంటే ఇక్కడ పోర్టల్లో స్టేటస్ స్టాప్డ్ అండ్ డీఅలొకేటెడ్ చూపించదు. అప్పుడు ఓన్లీ షట్ డౌన్, సారీ, స్టాప్డ్ అని మాత్రం చూపిస్తుంది. అదే చెప్పాను ఇంతవరకు. క్లియర్ అయిందా ఇప్పుడు?
ఓకే.
ఓకే, లాగిన్ అయినప్పుడు చేస్తే ఒక రకంగా అనిపిస్తుంది, లాగిన్ అవ్వకుండా పోర్టల్ నుండి చేస్తే ఒక రకంగా అనిపిస్తుంది. అంతే, సింపుల్ డిఫరెన్స్. ఓకే, నౌ I will just power on this machine where you can do it from the portal itself. There is no other option. Now, as we can see, we have given standard DS1 virtual V2, 1 CPU and 3.5 GB memory. So if you want to increase this size of the server, we can go directly here in this VM settings, there is an option called size. But before I do all these settings, let's understand how to connect to this virtual machine, because we have just created and we don't know how to how to log into the virtual machine. Okay, so machine is still the status it is showing as starting. It should show as running. Refresh, I'll refresh this page again. Running. Now it is showing as running. So still I'll not be able to connect because I don't have direct connectivity to this VNet. అంటే ఏంటి, నా దగ్గర VPN లేదు, లేదు వేరే వేరే మెథడ్స్ VNet టు VNet కానీ ఎక్స్ప్రెస్ రోడ్ కానీ ఏ VPN కనెక్షన్ కూడా నా దగ్గర లేదనమాట. సో I should be using public IP address. However, in our labs we can use public IP address. In enterprise environments they will not be using public IP address. It is very rare case because it is a security issue, because it is publicly addressed and there are chances that the servers may get compromised. Okay, so for that reason they will not be allowing public IP addresses for most of the servers which are critical to the business in the enterprise environments. Okay, now they will be using VPN connections like point to site, VNet to VNet and express route, which will give you a private and secure connection, which we have already discussed about that VPN connections. Now we know how to create a public IP address. Okay, I'll open one more window here. So here I'll look for public IP addresses, and at the moment there are no public IP addresses. I'm going to create public IP address. అంటే ఏంటంటే ఈ VM క్రియేట్ చేసేటప్పుడే నువ్వు పబ్లిక్ IP address క్రియేట్ చేయొచ్చు, బట్ I did not create it, just to show you after the creation of virtual machine how to attach. Okay, so we have already discussed about this public IP address creation. I'm going with the default options, and let's say demo VM1 hyphen public IP. So I'm giving the name to identify this public IP address easily. Okay, so that's the reason I have given demo VM1 hyphen public IP address. I'm going with standard public IP address, which is the highest plan in our public IP address section. Okay, now if you look at IP address assignment, it is static by default. If I go with basic plan, this will get changed, and you have to choose the resource group where you want to create this public IP address. Okay, so as I told you already, you need to make sure your actual resource group where you are trying to link. So my resource group is prod VM RG01, which is a VM resource group. I'm selecting resource group here, prod VM RG01, and location. See here, it is showing as East US. I just wanted to compare it with the actual location. It is East US. There is no need to change it. And this one you go with normal settings. Still we are about to discuss about this availability zone. Create, and this will get created within a second, and then I'll show how to attach that one to virtual machine. Right, so we have got, one moment, what is this? My mouse is okay. because battery is low in my mouse. Just give me a second, I'll replace this battery. It is playing. It is not a battery issue. Looks like there is some issue. What's happening?
Sir, disconnect this frequency.
Disconnect, connect.
And
ఓకే. ఇది యాక్చువల్‌గా మౌస్ సారీ ఇక్కడ మౌస్ ప్యాడ్ ప్రాబ్లమ్ అనుకుంటాను. ఎక్కడ నా డివైస్‌లో లైక్ ల్యాప్‌టాప్ మౌస్ ప్యాడ్ ఉంటుంది కదా! ఎక్కడెక్కడో వెళ్ళిపోతుంది ఇది. ఇంకో సిస్టమ్‌లో చూసాను బానే వర్క్ అవుతుంది ఇది. ఓకే. ఒక్క నిమిషం. ఐ విల్ క్లీన్ దిస్ వన్.
ఎవరు హ్యాక్ చేశారేమో మీ సిస్టమ్.
హ్యాక్ ఏం చేశారో ఏమో!
జాగ్రత్త.
అరె! అరె!
సిస్టమ్ రీస్టార్ట్ చేస్తున్నాను సార్.
ఓకే. ఒక్క నిమిషం నేను మళ్ళీ కనెక్ట్ అవుతాను. ఓకే.
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 రైట్, వినిపిస్తుంది ఇప్పుడు క్లియర్గా?
వినిపిస్తుంది.
Yes, yes.
రైట్, సో we'll see what we were discussing about. Right, we have just powered on this machine and we were discussing about, okay, it is in progress. We were discussing about public IP address and we'll start that quickly. Right, so we have got this public IP address created, and if you look at this, there is a IP address. Okay, now you can see that it is not associated to any device. Okay, still it is blank. So if you want to attach it to our virtual machine, we should know about network interface. Okay, so the network interface is like for each and every machine you will have network interface. If you want to see that even for your laptop you will have that kind of network interface. So it means, see here, okay, let's go with images. సో మీ సిస్టంలో ఇట్లాంటి పోర్ట్ చూసారా, ఇట్ సైడ్ ఇది, విచ్ వి కాల్ ఇట్ as LAN పోర్ట్. అంటే ఏంటి, ఇది ఉంటే గానీ మన ల్యాప్టాప్లో నెట్వర్క్ వర్క్ అవ్వదు, అంటే కేబుల్ కనెక్ట్ చేయడానికి. ఇప్పుడు వచ్చే సిస్టమ్స్లో ఏమంటే ఇట్లాంటి పోర్ట్ ఉండదు. పోర్ట్ కావాలంటే కనెక్టర్ కొనుక్కోవాలి, టైప్ సి టు అది. అండ్ ఎవ్రీ వన్ ఈజ్ యూజింగ్ వైఫై అడ్రస్ కాబట్టి వైఫై ఇక్కడ యూజ్ చేయాలంటే కూడా లోపల ఒక అడాప్టర్ ఉంటుందన్నమాట మన ల్యాప్టాప్ ఫిజికల్ డివైస్లో. ఓకే, సో if you look at this one, this will be even clear. Okay, this is called as network interface. So for each and every device, especially on the servers or even on the laptops, desktops, wherever you go, without this network interface there will not be a network connectivity. For Wi-Fi there will be a different adapter within that motherboard on the system, but actual servers which are there in Azure, they will not be using Wi-Fi. It is all network interface that we are going to consume in the backend, because everything is wide connection and we are working remotely. Now, if you look at from this overview page on the virtual machine settings, and here you have got networking. So click on this networking and you find that network interface. So for each and every VM that you create in Azure subscription, you will have unique network interface. If you even ఇక్కడ చూసారనుకోండి Azure network interface, that image also will be looking similar to that of what I have shown. Okay, you can see that logo, it is similar to that of what I have shown in the image. Now I'll go to this virtual machine again, networking and network interface. So for your network interface, when you click on that, there is a private IP address already assigned. ఓకే, నెట్వర్క్ ఇంటర్ఫేస్ మీద క్లిక్ చేయగానే అక్కడ మళ్ళీ డిఫరెంట్ సెట్టింగ్స్ ఉంటాయి ఇక్కడ మనకు. ఇఫ్ యూ లుక్ అట్ దిస్, ఓకే, సో దెర్ ఈస్ ఏ ప్రైవేట్ ఐపీ అడ్రస్ విచ్ హెస్ బీన్ ఆల్రెడీ అసైన్డ్. ఎందుకు అసైన్ అయింది ప్రైవేట్ ఐపీ అడ్రస్? మనం విఎం క్రియేట్ చేసేటప్పుడు ఒక వీనెట్ క్రియేట్ చేసాం కదా, సో ఈ వీనెట్లో ఉన్న ఐపీ అడ్రస్లు ఒక రేంజ్ ఇచ్చాం, ఆ రేంజ్ నుండి ఒక ఐపీ అడ్రస్ సమిషన్ కలెక్ట్ అంతే. ఓకే, నౌ public IP address is not there because we did not opt for public IP address. So in this case, we have to associate public IP address what we have created to this network interface. Okay, ఈ network interface దేనికి లింక్ అయింది? You can see that attached to virtual machine 1 demo VM 1. Okay, నార్మల్గా అయితే network interfaces ఎంటీగా కూడా క్రియేట్ చేసుకోవచ్చు, బట్ ఎంటీగా క్రియేట్ చేస్తే నీకు యూజ్ ఏముండదు అనమాట. యూ షుడ్ బి కన్సిడరింగ్ ఫర్ any of the device. So now at this stage it is associated to virtual machine 1. స్పెసిఫిక్ గా అటాచ్ చేయాల్సిన అవసరం అయితే లేదనమాట. ఐ మీన్ ఒకే దానికి 2-3 అటాచ్ చేయాలని చేయొచ్చు, బట్ ఒక విర్చువల్ మెషిన్ కి అండ్ అదే విర్చువల్ మెషిన్ కి నెట్వర్క్ ఇంటర్ఫేస్ లేకుండా క్రియేట్ చేయాలంటే కుదరదు అనమాట. నౌ లెట్స్ గో విత్ పబ్లిక్ IP address what we have done. So now I'll note demo VM151Z1 is our network interface name. If I go to public IP address, and here you can see that here it is showing as blank. So ఒక IP address associate చేయాలంటే you should have a network interface which is already there for our system. Okay, now associate, and you will find two options: load balancer and network interface. Select network interface, and then here you choose your network interface. Okay, and this is your actual VM interface. If you have hundreds of virtual machines in your subscription, then you should be very careful in choosing network interfaces. Okay, click on apply, and it will get saved, and let's see what we get out of it. So whatever I'm doing here, these are all required in a real-time environment. Right, now network interface is saved. It means, I'll repeat again, I have associated this public IP address to our virtual machine. Okay, now you can see associated to this one. So ఒకసారి IP అడ్రస్ ఈ నెట్వర్క్ ఇంటర్ఫేస్ అసోసియేట్ చేసిన తర్వాత దీన్ని మళ్ళీ ఇంకొకరు యూజ్ చేయడానికి లేదనమాట. ఓకే, so now let's close this one, and I will refresh this. Yeah, now you can see ఇంతకుముందు మనం చూసినప్పుడు ఇక్కడ బ్లాంక్ ఉంది అనమాట. Now you can see there is a public IP address linked to our virtual machine, right? Now if you want to connect to this virtual machine, click on connect, RDP, and download RDP file. Open this file. I'll tell you the shortcut as well. If you open, it is directly going through public IP address. Okay, click on connect. It is not going to work ఎందుకంటే అక్కడ IP అడ్రస్ ఉంది కానీ బట్ ఆ పోర్ట్ నెంబర్ అనేది అలో చేయలేదన్నమాట. అంటే దారి ఉంది, బట్ ద ప్రాబ్లమ్ ఇస్ దట్ ఎంట్రీ ఈస్ క్లోజ్డ్. మీ ఇంటికి దారి ఉంది అనుకుందాం, అలా వెళ్ళాలి ఇంట్లోకి, బట్ ఆ గేట్ క్లోజ్ చేశారు, ఎలా వెళ్తావు? దట్ గేట్ ఈస్ నథింగ్ బట్ port number. So for each and every system in technology, it will work on port numbers and IP addresses. So to connect remotely, we should have a port number 3389. That is for Windows servers. So ఆ పోర్ట్ ఓపెన్ చేయాలి. ఎక్కడ చేయాలి? నెట్వర్కింగ్ లో ఇక్కడ మనకు ఇన్బౌండ్ రూల్స్ అని, అవుట్బౌండ్ రూల్స్ అని ఇంకా చాలా ఉన్నాయి ఇక్కడ. సో నౌ instead of going, this is a different concept which I'm going to explain in a separate session where you will be understanding how to enable that port number and all. But for now, just to connect, as we are focusing only on the connectivity part, I will open a standard port number on this inbound rule. Okay, so then I will discuss in deep how we can use that concept. So I'm going with network security group. I'll create network security group here quickly. What is that? Prod VM, yes. Demo NSG, ESTS, review and create. If you're able to get these points, well and good, but I'm going to explain this network security group again. Right. So network security group is done. I'm going to use, let me refresh this page again. And here I'm going to use add, or I'll go with this RDP 3389. Just follow this blindly. We'll explain in deep what is that network security group and why do we need it and things like that. I'll let you know later. Right, rule has been created. I'm going to link this one to a network interface. Right, now I'll come back to this virtual machine. Now you can see from the networking, you can have the port number. So now let's try to connect to that machine. It should work. Okay. So in order to connect again, I'm going with this RDP connect and then download RDP file, open, connect. It should ask username and password. So it looks like still it is not going through. Still it is not working. Let me
అక్కడ
refresh.
పోర్టు ఇచ్చేసినప్పుడు వార్నింగ్ సింబల్ పడింది ఎల్లో ఇలా
నాకు అర్థం కాలేదు.
పోర్ట్ క్రియేట్ చేశాక ఎగ్మోర్ రూల్స్ లో ఇట్ షోడ్ సమ్ వార్నింగ్ సింబల్
అది
లైక్
వార్నింగ్
మనకి
ఉంది, ఎందుకంటే ఇది అలౌ చేస్తే రిస్క్ అవ్వచ్చు అనేసి, ఎందుకంటే పబ్లిక్ ఐపీ అడ్రస్ వార్నింగ్ అది. సో సోర్స్ డెస్టినేషన్ ఎనీ అలో 3389 is allowed already. This is okay. Allow,
ఇక్కడ
allow.
కింద ఏదో డిలే క్రియేట్ చేశారు 6
మరి అదే చెప్తున్నా. ఇవన్నీ ఓకేలే, అది అందుకే తర్వాత చెప్తాను చెప్పేది. అది ఇంకా చాలానే డిస్కస్ చేయడానికి. ఇవి డిఫాల్ట్ గా వచ్చే రూల్స్ నేను మళ్ళీ డిస్కస్ చేస్తాను, అవి ఎందుకు వచ్చాయి ఏంటి అనేసి. అవన్నీ సెక్యూరిటీ కోసం ఉన్నాయి. నౌ లెట్ మీ ట్రై ఇన్ డిఫరెంట్ వే. It should work now. Yeah, it's working. So let me refresh this page. ఇక్కడ నేను RDP file download చేశాను. I'm downloading it again. Download RDP file. Every time we will not be downloading. Okay, I'm going to use shortcut to connect to that. Okay, click on connect and connect. Now it is asking username and credentials. ఇంతకుముందు అది like refresh అయ్యింది, అందుకే వర్క్ అవ్వలేదు. So here you have to give username and password to connect to that virtual machine. So click on, you have to give whatever the username that you have given at the time of VM creation. Click on OK, and yes, you will be able to log into that server. Okay, this is the server which you are able to log in, and whatever we have created on the portal, and we can see all that settings. ఏంటి క్వశ్చన్స్ ఉన్నాయా?
ఇలాగే వేయాలి మేము కూడా సేమ్ ఆర్డీపీ యూజ్ చేసి ఎస్ఏపీలో
ఓకే,
అక్కడికి వెళ్ళాక ఎస్ఏపీ ఉంటుంది.
okay, fine. Yeah, so now we are able to log into this virtual machine. Okay, so I will close this. Every time I will not be using this connect and RDP. Every time I will not be using this option, because this is the one, like, whoever is fresher, they'll be able to do it for the first time. Otherwise, what I will do is I will copy this public IP address or private IP address, whatever it is, whichever I have to connect to that. I'll go to run on my system and type mstsc, which is nothing but Microsoft Terminal Services Console. So click on this, just type that command, click on OK. You will get this remote desktop connection window if you're not aware. Okay, and you have to copy this IP address, whatever the machine that you're trying to connect, and paste it. You don't need to provide any port number there, just like this. Just provide the IP address there, click on connect, and now yes. Okay, so you can use that method as well. Now let's see in this machine whatever you have created. I'm going with this settings, let's say this PC, and if you look at properties of the system, you can see RAM capacity is 3.5 GB and the processor is 1 CPU. I mean, you'll not be able to find exact processor number here, because it is giving you the a processor name. That's it. If you want to see the number of cores, you have to go through this task manager, and this is not required. Okay, but if you still want to observe, you can see that one core. Okay, one CPU. Where is that? One CPU. Okay, so whatever we have created on the portal, if you look at one CPU and 3.5 GB RAM, that can be found on this system directly, just to compare. Okay, now C drive capacity is 128 GB by default, and even if you get a question in interview, make sure you remember that one. So C drive space by default when you create is 128 GB. If you want more than that, yes, you can create. If you want less than that, you can create, but in a different method. Okay, and there is also one more disk, which we call it as temporary storage. But if you look at the portal, when we were creating a virtual machine, there is a disk of 512 GB also created. Okay, still it is not visible in our virtual machine. The reason, we have just added a disk, but we did not initiate, we did not format that disk yet. So along with your virtual machine, you can see that temporary storage, this will be there, and this temporary storage is nothing but to connect to Azure backend storage. They are using this temporary storage. If you increase the capacity of the server, this temporary storage also will get increased. Okay, so it means, let me show you virtual machine sizes in Azure. You might feel that confusion onto the మీకు. Once you practice, that will be clear. So let's see, where is that? Memory optimized DSV2. Okay, so I did not discuss this temporary storage. ఎందుకని, like, it was in a kind of confusion at that point of time for everyone. So now whenever you increase the server capacity, there is an increase in temporary storage also. this temporary storage will act as a communication between this server and to Azure backend. Okay, so that is where this temporary storage will be useful, and you should not save any data on this temporary storage. ఇక్కడ D drive కింద ఉంది. ఇన్ కేస్ నీకు D drive కావాలి అనుకుంటే ఆ D drive తీసుకెళ్ళి ఇంకొక డిస్క్ కి అటాచ్ చేయాలి, ఆ లెటర్ వాడుకోవాలి నువ్వు అంటే. అంతేగాని టెంపరీ స్టోరేజ్ యూస్ చేయకూడదు. సో ఇఫ్ యూ ఓపెన్ దిస్, దెర్ ఈస్ ఏ నోట్ ప్యాడ్. ఇఫ్ యూ ఓపెన్ దిస్ వన్, this is a temporary disk. Any data stored on this drive is subject to loss and there is no way to recover it. You should be very careful when you are trying to create, to save any data on this temporary storage, because that will act as a connector between Azure data center storage and to your virtual machine, and for that purpose it is getting utilized. And please do not use this disk for storing any personal or application data. Right? So now let's close this one. As you increase the capacity of the server, this temporary storage also will get increased. And we have seen the size of the server, which is like 1 CPU and 3.5 GB RAM. Now I have got a requirement to increase the capacity of the server as per the business needs. Now what I can do is I can go directly to this size, and let's say 1 CPU and 2 CPUs kavali, and 3.5 GB and 8 కావాలనుకుంటే you can just click on this and resize. It will get upgraded. It is as simple as that. If you want any of the size, just select that and just resize. It will get upgraded. But the thing is, machine will get restarted, and you can see that changing its size will cause it to be restarted. So you should be very careful if there is a business, or if there is a any user, whoever is using that machine, they will lost all their work, whatever they are doing. So go for this D2S V3, and just showing it as an example, click on resize, and whatever I've connected here, that will be disconnected because I'm doing this resize from the portal. That will be done within minutes. అదే నువ్వు ల్యాప్టాప్ లో ర్యామ్ కెపాసిటీ పెంచాలి అంటే దట్ విల్ టేక్ లాట్ ఆఫ్ టైం. ర్యామ్ ఆర్డర్ ఇవ్వాలి, ర్యామ్ మళ్ళీ నీకు డెలివరీ అవ్వాలి, మళ్ళీ నీ దగ్గర టూల్ కిట్ ఉండాలి, ఆ ల్యాప్టాప్ అన్ని తీసిన తర్వాత, టూల్ కిట్ యూస్ చేసి ఓపెన్ చేసిన తర్వాత ఆ స్లాట్స్ లో ఇన్సర్ట్ చేయాలన్నమాట. సో బట్ హియర్ ఇన్ Azure, everything is online. Even you can increase the capacity also without any issues. So machine has got resized. Close this, and if you come back to overview page, you can see that server capacity has got changed because we have upgraded. So let me try to connect to this again, and we will see after logging into the virtual machine. Right, so now we have logged in again. Let me launch this PC properties, and now you can see there is a 8 GB memory. In that way you can test task manager and performance, and you can see there are 2 CPUs. That is the count that we have increased. Okay, 2 CPUs. So now if anyone asks you to resize, this is the method which you can increase the capacity of the server. I'll download this because to save the credits, I'm charging it back to a least version. Any questions here? Right. So now what can we discuss? Yeah. Disks I will discuss in the next session because this will take some time. Or let's try it today itself. Okay. So we have already added a disk at the time of VM creation, but it is not visible in the system because we have to initiate the disk and we have to format the disk. Let me show you that. Just like our new laptop, if you want to format the disk, you have to go through the settings and all this. So in each and every server, if you want to add additional disks, and not only this one, you can still add one more disk, which I'll show you in a bit. Now choose the disk management from the start menu. You'll find that option. Where is that? Okay. If not this one, go for computer management. Search for computer management. Click on this. Even you can check on your laptops also. And here you have option called disk management. So as soon as I click on this disk management, it has given me a pop-up. See here, let me use, right. If you look at this one, it is showing as not initialized. Okay, it is showing as not initialized. As soon as I open this disk management, it is showing as a pop-up to initialize the disk, and which you can see here, and GPT disk 2, and click on OK. So once you click on OK, this disk will get initialized. అంటే ఇప్పుడు ఏంటి జస్ట్ న్యూ డిస్క్ అనమాట, అది అలాగుంది అనమాట. సో దాన్ని నువ్వు ఈ సిస్టమ్ కనెక్ట్ చేయడాన్ని ఇనిషియలైజ్ అంటారు అనమాట. ఓకే, ఇనిషియలైజ్ చేసిన తర్వాత విచ్ ఇస్ నథింగ్ బట్ కనెక్ట్ చేసిన తర్వాత you have to format the disk to divide into partitions. We'll see that. That is simple thing which you might have known already. So I'll go and I'll cancel this one. Let's say if that pop-up did not come, then you can cancel that one and come back to this, right click on this, initialize disk, click on OK. Now disk is online. It means it is visible in your disk management, but still it is not visible in your my computer or this PC. Here still it is not there. So in order to see the disk here in this PC, you have to right click on this and you have to create a volume. Next, and let's say you want to divide this 512 GB into two partitions. So what I'm going to do is I'll just change that number randomly because it is showing here in MB. GB నుండి MB కన్వర్ట్ ఇక్కడ చూపిస్తుంది కాబట్టి నేను జస్ట్ ఒక ముందరన్న 5 తీసి 2 పెట్టాను అనమాట. సో నౌ ఇట్ హస్ గాట్ the capacity here. Next, and letter. So which letter that you want to assign to the disk? Let's go with default E drive అనుకుందాం. I'm going with E drive. next, and next, finish. Now volume E is created and it is having 219 GB. And if you go to this PC, and you can see that here in this window, but still I've got 512 GB and there is of around 292 GB space available free. If you want to use it, I can partition it for another volume. Let's say with all the space that I've got left out here, I'm going to create one more partition. Let's say Z drive, next, and next, finish. Now you can see E drive and Z drive are there. So I can utilize all 512 GB here. I want one more disk because I've got more and more a capacity needed for my business. So what I'll do is I'll go to Azure portal, and here from the disk section, click on this create and attach new disk, and here just type the disk size that you want. So it is not visible here like we have seen at the time of VM creation. You have to just give the capacity of the disk, and based on that it will take nearby disk. And we know there are multiple disks available in Azure Premium disks. And let's see what we can, yeah, we already discussed this section. So now these are the sizes we have got, which are predefined, and we call it as managed disks. Okay, so I'll go with 1024 GB again. You can give 1000 GB, but it will pick up 1024 by default. When you are using this kind of disks, whether you save the data on the disk or not, you are going to get a bill for that. Okay, because these are managed disks, and you have to give the name of the disk. Let's say I will give it as demo VM1. I'll use some standard format. Ikkat 0 on the other. I'm going to use data disk underscore 1 and then save it. So to add a disk to a virtual machine, you no need to restart a virtual machine. Okay, by default that will get picked up. So it is updated now. Let me go to this PC. ఇక్కడ నేను అక్కడ disk add చేసినంత మాత్రం నాకు ఇక్కడ కనిపించదు. I'm just repeating. You have to go to disk management, and you can see that 1024 GB, which is showing in this disk management section. So in order to use this disk, you have to initialize this first. Click on OK, go with default settings, and then let's say I want 1024 GB in one drive itself. It means entire 1000 GB with single drive. Okay, single volume. Click on next, and I'll go with, let's say, T drive. Next, next, finish. Now you can see that there is a T drive with 1 TB of space. Okay, so it means whatever the disk that we need, it can be attached through Azure portal and can be managed after logging into a virtual machine. So how many disks can be attached? And that is where if you look at this virtual machine sizes, okay, temporary storage guరించి చెప్పాను కదా. Now we'll see the maximum data disks. Depends on the size of the server, there is a capacity. So there are 8 data disks which can support for this standard DS11 V2. 8 data disks అంటే ఏంటి? ఒక్కొక్క disk capacity it can go up to 65 terabytes. అట్లాంటివి 8 disks attach చేయొచ్చు. Okay, 8 into 65 terabytes. That much space can be attached to this virtual machine size. Okay, సో ఇక్కడ చూడొచ్చు మాక్సిమం డిస్క్ కెపాసిటీ ఎంత ఉన్నాయి మనకు ప్రీమియంలో. సారీ, ఇట్స్ నాట్ 65 టెరాబైట్, ఇట్ ఈస్ 32 terabytes. సో ప్రీమియంలో మాక్సిమం P80 ఉంది. And if you go to ultra disks, then it will be 65 terabytes, even more than that. You can see that. Yeah, this is 65 terabytes. 1024 దగ్గర నుండి 65 terabytes వరకు అల్ట్రా డిస్క్స్ అయితే అటాచ్ చేయొచ్చు. Now, if you go to premium SSDs, there are 8 disks which you can attach to the virtual machine based on the size. So as you increase the capacity of the server, the capacity of the disks also will get increased. It means the capacity is high, it can handle more disks. అంతే కదా. సో కెపాసిటీ ఎక్కువ ఉందని చెప్పేసి మోర్ డిస్క్ యాడ్ చేసి అప్పుడే హ్యాండిల్ చేయగలదు. తక్కువ కెపాసిటీలో ఎక్కువ లోడ్ ఇచ్చామనుకో సర్వర్ ఈస్ గోయింగ్ టు హ్యాంగ్. నౌ దట్స్ ద బెనిఫిట్ ఆఫ్ దిస్ maximum data disks. Okay, so how to add the disks? ఇక్కడ నుండి అటాచ్ చేస్తాం అన్నమాట. డిస్క్స్ రావాలి and click on this attach a new disk and then increase the capacity. Right, so if I want to increase the capacity of this disk, so I have got 1 TB, I want 2 TB to the same disk. అప్పుడు ఏం చేయాలి? I'll click on this and here you have an option called configuration, size and performance, and let's go with 2048. Click on this and click on resize. It is not possible. Okay, because ఇప్పుడు 1024 GB నువ్వు యూస్ చేస్తున్నావు, దీనికి అటాచ్ చేయాలి లేకపోతే ఉన్న డిస్క్ ని ఇంక్రీజ్ చేయాలంటే చేయలేవు. అప్పుడేం చేయాలి? బట్ స్టిల్ యూ వాంట్ 2 terabytes for this T drive. What I will do is I will go to virtual machine disks. I will add one more disk with, let's say, disk 2 with 1024 GB and save this. Right, and now I've added one more disk. I can come to the system, go to disk management, you will find that. Right click on this and initialize the disk. Click on OK. And you have to come back to this previous disk. ఇక్కడ ఏం చేశాను, ఉన్న T drive కే 2 TB కావాలి కాబట్టి to come back to this T drive, right click on this, extend the volume. Next, see here, it is showing disk 4 space. సో ఐ మీన్ ఈ మెషిన్ లో disk 4 ఉంది. ఈ లాజికల్ నేమ్స్ ఇవన్నీ అక్కడ పోర్టల్ లో ఒకటి ఉంటుంది, VM లో ఒకటి ఉంటుంది అనమాట. దాని గురించి వరీ అవ్వద్దు. సో దోస్ ఆర్ లాజికల్ నేమ్స్ విచ్ వీ హ్యావ్ టు కన్సిడర్. నౌ సో డిస్క్ 4 1 TB ఉంది కదా, ఈ స్పేస్ అంతా కూడా నేను T drive అలొకేట్ చేస్తాను. క్లిక్ ఆన్ యాడ్. I'll repeat again. I am extending T drive by right clicking on this, extend volume. Next, and here choose add, and next, finish. Yes, now you can see that ఇక్కడ డిస్క్స్ ఫిజికల్ గా రెండు సపరేట్ అయినా కూడా లాజికల్ గా రెండు సేమ్ అన్నమాట. సో నౌ ఇక్కడ చూడొచ్చు లెటర్స్ రెండు ఒకటే ఉన్నాయి and 1024. If you look at this, I'll refresh this page. ఇక్కడ చూసారా, this has become 2 terabytes. Physically, the disks are different, but logically, I have enabled both the disks to work as one partition. Okay, ఇట్లాంటి రిక్వైర్మెంట్స్ కూడా వస్తుంటాయి. You should be in a position to enable volumes like this. Okay, so నాకు ఇది మళ్ళీ వద్దనుకుంటే what I'll do is, there are chances that data loss will be there. You should be careful in doing all this. So what I will do is, I'll come back to this disk management, and here right click on this. I will use shrink volume. Shrink ante మీరు like you might have used this term many times. బట్టలు కొత్తగా ఉన్నప్పుడు shrink అవుతుందని చెప్పేసి వాటర్ లో పెట్టడం ఇట్లాంటివి చేస్తుంటారు. That is nothing but shrinking. So click on this shrink, and I want to shrink it up to 1 terabyte. Shrink. చూసారా ఇప్పుడు ఏమైంది, మిగతా స్పేస్ అంతా ఫ్రీ అయిపోయింది. సో నేను స్ట్రింగ్ చేశానంటే తగ్గించాను అనమాట దాన్ని. సో within the disk itself, I have made approximately 44 GB space unallocated. Ikkada 1024 unallocated, and only with this disk 3, I've got 980 GB. Okay, so if you refresh this here, I can see that 979 GB is available. Okay, so now in this method, you can play your virtual machine disks, play with your virtual machine disks. Okay, so I'm going to delete. If you want to delete or detach the disks, here we have an option. If you scroll to the right hand side, detach it, and detach this one as well, and save it. So detach చేసావంతే కానీ delete చేయలేదు ఆ డిస్క్ లింక్. అవన్నీ ఎక్కడ ఉంటాయి? There is a section called disks here. Okay, so whatever you have disks, these are visible. Even the OS disk, demo VM1 OS disk. సో ఏ డిస్క్ ఏ మిషన్ లింక్ అయింది అనేది కూడా ఈ డిస్క్స్ అనే సెక్షన్ అని చూడొచ్చు అనమాట. సో క్లిక్ ఆన్ దిస్ demo VM1 OS disk, and you can see that this is managed by demo VM1. Okay, now if you click on this demo data disk 0, it is linked to no server. Okay, because we have just disabled that, we have just detached the disks. So now ఇప్పుడు నేను ఆల్రెడీ ఈ VM లో వాడాను డిస్క్లన్నీ కూడా, and if I see here, ఇందులో ఏం లేవు because I have detached. I'll take 5 more minutes and then we'll close for the day. Okay, so ఇందులో ఏం లేవు అనమాట. ఉన్నప్పుడు నువ్వు అందులో డేటా ఏమైనా సేవ్ చేసింటే కూడా ఈ డిస్కుల్లో అట్లాగే ఉంటుంది until unless you delete it permanently. Okay, so permanent గా delete చేయాలంటే just click on this, and here you have an option delete. లేదు ఈ డిస్క్ తీసుకెళ్ళి ఇంకొక మెషిన్ కి అటాచ్ చేయాలి, జస్ట్ లైక్ అవర్ పెన్ డ్రైవ్ అనుకోండి. మనం ఒక ల్యాప్టాప్ లో పెన్ డ్రైవ్ పెట్టి డేటా కాపీ చేసాం, పెన్ డ్రైవ్ డిస్కనెక్ట్ చేసినా కూడా డేటా అందులోనే ఉంటుంది, రైట్? అండ్ ఆ పెన్ డ్రైవ్ తీసుకెళ్ళి ఇంకొక మెషిన్ కనెక్ట్ చేస్తే నువ్వేదైతే ఇంతకుముందు మెషిన్ లో కాపీ చేసావో అక్కడ ఉంటుంది, రైట్? Because you have detached and attaching to a different machine. So let's say you want to use same disks again. Come back to home page. Let's say this is another VM, though you have got only one VM. Go to disks, and here you have an option called attach existing disks. ఇంతకుముందు ఏం చేసాం? న్యూ డిస్క్ యాడ్ చేసాం, but now I am going to use existing disks. Click on attach existing disks, and it will display all the available disks. ఒకసారి ఒక డిస్క్ ని ఎనేబుల్ చేసిన తర్వాత ఒక VM కి ఇంకొక దానికి యూస్ చేయలేవు until unless it is a shared disk. అది ఇంకా వేరే కాన్సెప్ట్ వస్తుంది అనమాట. ఒకే డిస్క్ ని మల్టిపుల్ VMs కి అలొకేట్ చేయాలనే అవసరం రిక్వైర్మెంట్స్ ఉంటాయి, అప్పుడు షేర్ డిస్క్ కాన్సెప్ట్ యూస్ చేస్తాం. బట్ నౌ If you want to attach existing disks to the same VM or to any other virtual machine, you have to use this attach existing disks option. And here you choose this one, save, and you can go back to see here మళ్ళీ పార్టిషన్స్ వచ్చేసాయి. సో అటాచింగ్ ఎగ్జిస్టింగ్ డిస్క్ అటాచ్ చేసినప్పుడు నువ్వు మళ్ళీ ఇక్కడికి వచ్చి డిస్క్స్ ఇనిషియలైజ్ చేయాల్సిన అవసరం లేదు, ఆల్రెడీ రెడీగా ఉంటాయి అవి. యూ కెన్ డైరెక్ట్లీ యూజ్ ఇట్. ఓకే, so this is how we'll be using disks as part of our routine day-to-day activities in enterprise platforms. Okay, so I'll pause for a minute. Let me know if you've got any questions.